So the types of ovarian cancer, usually this slide I have presented in that class also. That is, usually we have three kinds of cells in the ovaries. Those are the epithelial cells, germ cells, and the stromal cells. So the cancer, the tumor might develop anywhere in these cells. Like epithelial, if it is epithelial, we call it as epithelial tumors, which are very common, that is 90%. This we have discussed in the previous class. And other one is germ cell tumors around 5 to 8%, and stromal tumors 3%. So this second and third variety we are going to discuss in this class. So first was epithelial tumors. Can anyone say me what were the epithelial tumors? What are the names of different epithelial tumors? Then we'll start with the other varieties. Yes, serous. So those were serous, mucinous, borderline, clear cell. Yes. So those were the epithelial tumors which were very common, 90%. In that, serous was the most common variety, and which had the bad prognosis in those epithelial tumors. The worst prognosis. Clear cell had the worst prognosis. Okay, and serous has a better prognosis. It was the most common variety. So in this class, we'll be seeing about second and third variety. So in that first we'll be seeing about the germ cells, then we'll go for the six-spot stromal tumors. So first is the germ cell. Germ cell, again it is divided into the mature ones and the embryonal ones. So here we'll be studying about the like mature cystic teratoma. Mature cystic teratoma is usually benign, and that is also called as the dermoid cyst. Okay, and malignant varieties are like dysgerminoma. Dysgerminoma is the most common germ cell tumor. Germ cell tumor, the most common is dysgerminoma if it is a malignancy. If it is a benign one, mature cystic teratoma is common, that is dermoid cyst. So varieties are dysgerminoma, embryonal carcinoma, yolk sac carcinoma, immature teratoma, and choriocarcinoma. Choriocarcinoma is also for the ovary. This is not choriocarcinoma of the endometrium. It's not the gestational trophoblastic disease. It is choriocarcinoma of the ovary. So these are the varieties of the germ cell malignancy. So it is the most common tumor in reproductive age group. As we have seen, the epithelial tumors, they were more common in the postmenopausal group, like say 40 to 60 years or 50 to 60 years. So epithelial tumors were more common in the menopausal age group, whereas these germ cell tumors are more common in the reproductive age group. So these are majority are benign. Usually they are unilateral, and the most common germ cell tumor, the most common name says most common germ cell tumor is dermoid cyst. As I shown you in this slide, mature cystic teratoma is nothing but a dermoid cyst. That is the most common germ cell tumor. So tumor, we are saying it is not a cancer. Tumor can be benign or a malignant one. So in this, the most common germ cell benign tumor is dermoid cyst, whereas most common germ cell cancer is the dysgerminoma. So please remember this. They might ask you in the NEET exam also as a MCQ. The most common germ cell tumor is dermoid, whereas most common germ cell cancer is a dysgerminoma. So first we'll see about the dermoid cyst. It is mature cystic teratoma. So it is cystic because there is a cystic fluid collected there, and I'll show you a picture, then I'll try to explain to you. So these are the dermoid cyst. Here you can see there is a cyst with a collection of hair inside. Here also you can see hair and kind of some sebaceous material. Here also you can see some teeth kind of structures inside. So this is a dermoid cyst. This is a gross picture. So in dermoid cyst, there is some presence of mature tissues. It is called mature because there are some mature tissues which are derived from all three germ layers. So usually the cyst is lined by an epidermis, that is the stratified squamous epithelium. So here the epidermis which is lined, it is usually the stratified squamous epithelium. So there are some foci of calcification inside the tumor that may be due to teeth and bone. So there are some teeth and bone like structures, and somewhere there is a kind of protuberance. So because of the teeth and bone, some points there might be calcification. There are foci of calcification. Those foci are called the Rokitansky protuberance. Rokitansky protuberance. So this also might be an important question for you. Dermoid cyst, theoretically and viva question, they might ask in the differential diagnosis and also the NEET MCQs. So dermoid cyst, it is a mature cystic teratoma. We call it as mature because there are presence of all the mature tissues which are derived from all three germ layers, and cystic because there are a lot of cystic collections inside. It is filled with cheesy sebaceous material. So Rokitansky protuberance, that is there are bone and teeth. So sometimes this might go into calcification and there might become a protuberance kind of thing. So that is called the Rokitansky protuberance. So this is about the germ cell tumors. So in germ cell tumors, we are seeing this benign variety, that is the dermoid cyst. So microscopic features, here you can see this is the microscopic features. So there are three germ layer tissues, that is from the ectoderm. If it is derived, the cyst might contain hair follicles, cerebrum, cerebellum, sebaceous and sweat glands. If at all it contains, if it is involving the mesodermal layer, the cyst might contain smooth muscle, bone, teeth and cartilage. If endodermal, there might be thyroid and salivary gland tissues. So this is the histologic picture you can see here. So usually this dermoid cyst, usually bilateral in 15%, only in 15% it is bilateral, usually unilateral, and the most common ovarian tumor to undergo torsion. So this is also an important question. So the cyst which undergoes torsion, the most common tumor, ovarian tumor which undergoes torsion, your answer should be dermoid cyst. Okay. So which is the most common tumor which undergoes torsion is dermoid cyst. And what about the malignant change? Does it change into malignancy? Dermoid cyst, which is a benign germ cell tumor, does it change into malignancy? Is very, very, very rare. That is less than 2%. Only less than 2% of the patients have chances of going for malignancy. And malignant changes to what? Like as I told you, the epidermis, this epithelial layer is stratified squamous epithelium. So if at all it has to go into malignancy, this layer will undergo into malignancy, leading to is a stratified squamous epithelium. So it will have chances of going into stratified squamous cell carcinoma. Okay, dermoid cyst. So what is the treatment of this dermoid cyst? Is the cystectomy. So remove the cyst. So that is about the dermoid cyst. It is very important. Try to remember it. Just I'm giving you a very important point so that at least if you write these points, you can score marks. So, but you have to elaborate it by drawing diagrams and all. So this is the benign one. Next, we'll see about the struma ovary. So struma ovary, it is the most common form of monodermal teratoma. It is also a type of teratoma. So the term used for a teratoma in usually because the thyroid tissue has overgrown all other tissues in a dermoid cyst. Usually, this is also type of dermoid cyst, but the thyroid tissue has more majority component in the cyst. So there is no specific clinical or radiological findings, but usually there is thyroid tissue which is developed in the cyst. That is called the struma ovary. So usually on the grass appearance, it appears as a red, brown or greenish brown, predominantly solid soft tissue, and it may be pure or associated with any other tumor. There might be uni or multilocular cyst. So here you can see this struma ovary. There might be some kind of thyroid-like tissues developing inside. So microscopically of this struma ovary, There might be mature thyroid tissue consisting of acinine. Usually you can see here. These are eosinophilic, acinine kind of things. When you take a microscopic picture of this struma ovary. So those were the benign varieties of germ cell tumors. So ovarian tumors divided into epithelial, germ and stromal. Epithelial is done. Now we are seeing about the germ cell. In germ cell also we have seen the benign variety, that is the dermoid cyst and the struma ovary. Now we are going to see the malignant variety of the germ cell tumors. In that first thing, I've just given it in a tablet column so that you'll understand it better. But in an exam, you have to, they might ask you separately about a dysgerminoma. For that, you have to write in an elaborate answer. So I've given you here an important points. So dysgerminoma, it is the most common germ cell cancer. As I told you, this is an important question. The most common germ cell cancer is a dysgerminoma. So TM is tumor markers. So what are the tumor markers which are useful to detect dysgerminoma? The first one is LDH. LDH is the main one. Next is the placental alkaline phosphatase, PLAP, and the HCG. So these are the tumor markers for the dysgerminoma. Sorry. So the special features for dysgerminoma are it is bilateral in only in 15% of the cases. So usually if you come across a germ cell cancers, they are usually unilateral. But only dysgerminoma has chances of going for bilaterality, that is in 15% cases, not more than that. But other tumors, if you take, they are usually unilateral. So if at all they ask you a question, which is a germ cell cancer which has chances of bilaterality, 15%, not more, but 15% bilaterality, that is a dysgerminoma. So it spreads by lymphatic infiltration and it also can arise in the dysgenetic gonads. So next variety of the germ cell cancer is a immature teratoma. There is no specific marker for this. And next one is the endodermal sinus tumor or a yolk sac tumor. The tumor marker is AFP, alpha fetoprotein. The special features are it is very aggressive and it is 100% unilateral. So this is very aggressive tumor. So if you take the last three varieties, that is endodermal sinus tumor or an embryonal cell carcinoma or a choriocarcinoma of the ovary, all three have very bad prognosis. The worst prognosis they have, and they are very, very aggressive. The growth is very fast and they go into fourth stage very fast and the prognosis is very bad. So if you consider among all this, the good prognosis is for the dysgerminoma. So dysgerminoma is the most common variety and also has a better prognosis. And the last varieties like endodermal sinus tumor and these things have a worse prognosis. So the tumor marker for this is the alpha fetoprotein, and there are something called Schiller-Dwell bodies on histopathological examination. I'll show you what are those. So remember, endodermal sinus tumor, Schiller-Dwell bodies. So these are the Schiller-Dwell bodies. Here you can see there are central capillaries surrounded by flat cells. So these are the typical feature of the endodermal sinus tumor or a yolk sac tumor. Here you can see the central capillary surrounded by a flat cells. So endodermal sinus tumor, Schiller-Dwell bodies. So this is a gross picture of the yolk sac tumor. Yolk sac tumor. This is a gross picture. So next is the embryonal cell carcinoma. The tumor markers here are the same, AFP and HCG. Very aggressive. Choriocarcinoma of the ovary, there is no specific tumor marker. It is also very aggressive. So remember these tumor markers: dysgerminoma, LDH, PLAP, HCG, AFP and HCG. Next we'll see first about the first variety, that is a dysgerminoma. So, like, how are these different from the epithelial ovarian cancer? So, we have in the last class we have discussed about the epithelial ovarian cancers. So, how are these germ cell varieties? That is the germ cell cancers. That's the first variety, dysgerminoma. How is it different from those? Usually, we have seen that epithelial were more common in the postmenopausal age group. Here, the dysgermanoma is common in the 10 to 30-year age group. And these are diagnosed early, they present early. Why? What's the reason is, usually they grow to a very large size. As you know, we have seen in the epithelial ovarian cancers, in the last class we have seen that epithelial ovarian cancer, what are the symptoms? Can anyone say? What were the symptoms of those epithelial ovarian cancer? Was there any specific symptom of women complain? Epithelial ovarian cancer, what was the symptoms? How did the women present to us? Usually, they present with an usually they present with just a indigestion, that is dyspepsia. There is no proper specific symptoms, so that is the reason usually they visit a general physician or a surgeon. Usually it will be diagnosed very late, whereas in the germ cell tumors, that is here, they grow to a very large size and there might be bleeding into the tumor because of stretching of the ovarian capsule. There might be stretching of the ovarian capsule, which might lead to bleeding into the tumor, leading to pain. So that is the reason these germ cell tumor patients present to us early in the first stage. So we diagnose it early and the present early. Usually the prognosis will be better. So usually it can be associated with the precocious puberty. Usually dysgermanoma may be associated with the precocious puberty because this germinoma cyst, they produce the hormones. So that is the reason a young girl of 9 years may present to you with precocious puberty. So not everyone will have an dysgermanoma, but it's better to take her family history and also get an ultrasound done just to rule out any kind of tumors. So usually these are unilateral. As I told you, bilateral is only 15%. These are very chemosensitive, and that is the reason fertility preserving is possible. So dysgermanoma lady presenting to you or a girl presenting to you at 15 or 16 years, usually if at all she has this germ cell cancers, so you directly cannot go and operate her because she might have she might lose her fertility and all. So that is the reason the best thing for this, the fortunate thing for this is the dysgermanomas are very much chemosensitive. So you can just give the chemotherapy to them. So that is how you can preserve her ovaries and she can go for her, her fertility will be preserved. So this is a gross picture. Usually there are variables